Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And title of this lesson is going to be Transformation Takes Time. Okay, transformation takes time. And as much as we want to get out of here, we want to be delivered out of this hellhole that we're in. Even that takes time, right? But if you look around, you pay attention to what's actually happening in the world itself is being transformed. And that goes all the way down to even the mindset of the people. And, for those that are older, right, and also have been around longer or been in the truth longer, they'll probably be able to attest to you how the world has changed. Because, back in the day, as if I was there, right? But anyway, the point still needs to be made, right? Back in the day, how common it is to hear people, hey, that's a spirit. I just saw a truck that says Salem on it. That's crazy, with a green tree. How common it was for people to have some idea, right? Some unity, as it's written in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, right? About the dry bones. We're seeing that, right? And what I mean by people is mainly Jake, right? There's a sense of, even though you still have wicked Israelites out here being demons and gremlins and YNs, there's still, there's a sense of when Jake sees another Israelite, they recognize that, right? It's kind of like, we gotta look out for one another, against, them, right? And them being the Edomites. All right. There's that realization that we weren't meant to join hand in hand with the wicked. Okay, which according to Malachi, the first chapter, Esau, Edom is the wicked. Okay, so you're seeing the world transform from the mindset of the people. People are now, even though they're not at the level of having their eyes fully open. I'll use the analogy of somebody that's waking up from sleep, where their eyes are slightly open, it's still slightly dimmed, right, closed, but still kind of open, and they're seeing certain things. Years ago, you had people that fell hook, line, and sinker for they fall right for the whole political scheme, not realizing that it was just two wings on the same bird. So they would just bounce back and forth from one political party to another, then back to the other, then back to the other. But now people are waking up to shit, right? And the Amalekites are being exposed, right? Rakatayel Bashem Shai, I said 144. Amalekites are being exposed, the wicked is being exposed, and the Lord is showing forth, right? That the Apostle Paul mentioned that in the book of I believe it's either First or Second Thessalonians, right? He mentioned basically that the end wouldn't come. Yahweh Shai wouldn't make his return, because he was you had some some of the Thessalonians that were concerned as to whether the return of the Lord had already come for those the latecomers, and he was reassuring them that, look, you don't got to worry, because that day shall not come until the man of sin be revealed. So the end, Yahweh Shai's return, isn't going to come until the man of sin be revealed, and now the man of sin is being revealed. So as much as sometimes it may feel like everything is tarrying, look at it on a bigger picture compared to how it was before. When everything we said before sounded crazy, but now it doesn't, right? Remember, the doctrine of the chariots, the so-called UFOs being taught, was being taught at a time when the government had these things classified, saying that most people believed it was a myth. I remember years ago, maybe 2016 or 17, probably 17, we were at camp, and somebody came up, and they were asking questions. We had the signs, you're holding up the signs and all that, right? So they were asking questions, and one of the signs showed, the old signs. It shows the chariots, and then it shows the lasers, and it shows the different men, getting beamed up. And so the person was listening up until we got to the part of how we gonna get delivered out of here. And then the speaker mentioned the chariots, the UFOs. And at that point, I could see it on the guy who was listening. His face, he was just like, "Oh, like Satan just snatched that right out of his head. Oh, the UFOs, shit. All right, see, y'all were like, borderline with it, but you still kind of happy, and then you hit the UFO part, and now I'm like, that was not too long ago, about a decade ago. But now there's footage coming out left and right. You have it being actually talked about on the mainstream media about the technology and what it entails, and different sources coming out. Now, a good amount of it is part of disinformation, right? Because now with the kind of technology they have, they can pretty much make anything look like it's real. But the world has changed very quickly. It is transformed. And it's still going through a transformation phase, but it's transforming from the time of peace, the time of unbelief, to where the truth is now flourishing. But remember, a part of the truth is destruction. A part of the gospel is judgment. So the truth is flourishing, and that involves the words of truth, the prophecies coming to pass. And that's why there's so many evils that are brewing more and more and more and more upon the earth. Every other day, it's something crazy going on this part of the world or that part of the world. And some of these are unprecedented events. Some of these are world changing events, and they're happening. This wasn't happening back in 2016. This wasn't happening back in 2014 on the level it's happening now. And now people are actually being affected. So they can't just brush it off. Like, once again, look at the ratio of scoffers that used to be on comment boards, that used to do videos, that used to actually physically come out to the camp, and you had your G-mans and all of that. They used to do all of those things. But now that the number has drastically gone down. I remember there was a time when you would mention an Israelite and people would look at you like, what is that? And like I said, that wasn't even that long ago. But I remember, because I was in high school when I came into the truth, and that whole school heard about it. But a lot of them had no clue. I say about maybe 99% of them did not even know what is an Israelite. Or Hebrew Israelite, what's that? Hebrew what? Jews, what do you mean? Immediately they're thinking of Amalekites. Now it's so common that you don't even need to say anything. They just look at you and they already know. It's such a widespread thing. So it's showing you that over time, pursuant to Matthew 24:14, this gospel has been preached. People have heard it. People have been marked. The word has gone out. And that's why this destruction is coming. So transformation takes time. But the good thing for us is there isn't much time left. The world is being transformed and is moving quickly at an exponential rate. Technology is now at a point where you can see the mark of the beast being a more feasible, more tangible. You don't need to use too much of your imagination when it comes to it now, because of the level of technology that they got. With the AI and autonomous agents and LLMs and data centers and all of these things. Internet of things, internet of bodies, internet of homes. The world is transforming. And it's going to transform from that pseudo peace, the artificial life that people are used to a time of great death and destruction, known as Jacob's trouble. And then from then is going to transform into a time of eternal peace, known as the kingdom of heaven, which goes into Revelation, the 21st chapter, and many other precepts, many other scriptures. So compared to, Abraham's time, we're blessed, because it was revealed to Abraham, right? It was shown to the prophets of old, the men of old, but that was a long, long way off, thousands of years. They didn't even, like, Yahushua had to come on the scene, on the earth, to be a sacrifice, and then go back, and then come back thousands of years later. They hadn't even reached the middle point. When I say the middle point, I mean the point in which Yahushua would come to begin the motion of setting things in order, to prepare us before now the end. But we are living in the actual very end. Literally the last of the last few things that need to happen. Look at how many prophecies are in the scriptures. Because we always harp on the major ones, It may seem like, no, there's not that. No, there's a whole lot of prophecies in the scriptures. And a lot of them have come to pass. And now we can count down on your fingers how many more is left. That's how close we are. And once we pass that, there is no going back. And once we get where we need to get, that's it. It's over. No more. No, we're not doing this again. It's not going to be another generation for us to come and do this again. That's it. It's finally over. But it takes time. So it's always good for us to keep that in mind and remember that, and look inwardly, right? As things take their time, you look within and see, okay, well, that time I could look at it as, I gotta kill time, or I could look at it as, all right, well, since I'm here, right, what can I do to continue to better my chances, right? What can I do to continue to raise the odds that, Lord willing, the Lord have mercy on myself, and loved ones. All those things are very important. Okay, but we are we are living in that time, and each step in this transformation there's no undo button, right? We always say that there is no undo button. The way the state of the world as it is now is the last time it's ever going to be like this, and then it's going to change. And when it changes, it'll be the last time it'll ever be like that, and then it's going to change again. And that's why the saying goes, the only constant in life is change. You can guarantee that there will always be change. It's just a matter of what mindset you're in and how prepared you are for that change. All right. So anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and exhorting on to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Racha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.